From Oshkosh Community Media Services, this is Oshkosh City Cable 10 and broadcast on 101.9 FM WOCT Oshkosh. Welcome to Your City at Work, your program about local government departments and services. Your City at Work is a production of the City of Oshkosh and Oshkosh Community Media Services.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on Your City at Work. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, and on the show today we've got some great guests in. We'll be talking with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation about the new causeway opening over Lake Butte-des-Morts. We'll take a look at my experience in the shoes of a CSO officer, community service officer here in Oshkosh, and then we'll wrap it up with the Oshkosh Public Library and some new sessions that they're offering. And so now we're joined by Tom Buchholz and Mark Cantala from the Department of Transportation. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Hi, thanks.
And now we're going to be talking about the Causeway Trail going over Lake Butte-des-Morts. What exactly is the trail called?
The Tribal Heritage Crossing at
across the State Y-Wash Trail.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
an extension of the Y-Wash Trail, and then it's a Tribal Heritage Crossing of the Y-Wash Trail.
Okay.
So it's an extension of the State Y-Wash Trail that starts in Oshkosh and then goes all the way up into Shawano County, and this is actually a new crossing across Lake Butte-des-Morts.
And it was interesting how the name came about. It's actually the DNR teamed up with Winnebago County Parks and Rec Department, because Winnebago County is actually the people that are going to be owning the
Oh,
trail.
okay.
Underneath the bridge or over the bridge. So the DNR and Winnebago County got together, and it took a while. They had a whole bunch of different names, and they sent out the names in emails, and it went to a lot of Native American groups to see what they liked, and everybody decided on the Tribal Heritage Crossing at the Y-Wash Trail.
Great. Well, good to know where the name came from, because I wasn't sure where exactly you'd get that kind of
Lots
idea
and
from,
lots
too.
of people had inputs, and I tell you what, naming something that's going to be used by so many people, wow, a lot of people had input in it.
Yeah, quite a challenge, that's for sure. And so how did the trail initially even become an idea to begin with?
Back in 2000, we actually started with the highway project expansion from all the way from 26 to Breezewood Lane as part of an environmental process. And it was really focused on expansion of 41 from 4 to 6 lanes, which everybody sees today. But back in 2000, one of the key challenges was how do we get across Lake Butte-des-Morts? When we went to public involvement very early on, people were concerned about the snow drifting across the causeway, across the lake. They're concerned of the view of the lake when they travel it. Some people expressed a lot of interest. There were boaters that came out. And then just how do we build this? And then one of the options was to fill in the lake. And that's kind of what we did. But then filling in the lake and working with the DNR, the Corps of Engineers, all the federal agencies, that's really not something as a transportation agency. Normally filling in wetlands and let alone lakes is something normally we do. Normally we build bridges. But really the filling was already done back the first time the causeway was placed. So the most cost-effective way was to fill it. Then as part of that, we said, well, what about a multimodal trail across it? That's been done in other parts of the country on big bridges. The Golden Gate Bridge across San Francisco has it. The Woodrow Wilson Bridge in Washington, D.C. over the Potomac has it. So there has been some unique crossings across a big body of water. So then we, as the department, really talked about it internally and then brought that out to the public. So really it was trying to offset a little bit, mitigate the negative aspects of filling in the lake to provide something positive from healthy living. And then with that, then kind of spurned off the idea of fishing access as well. There's very limited good fishing access. So people that don't own a boat, where can they go? And then as a spin-off of that, then we were able to provide fishing access underneath the main channel that goes underneath the bridge, but on the south side. So it's not only a 12-foot wide multimodal path, but then it's also going to have fishing access as well. So very early on that was introduced and then was very well received by the public, and then the DNR and the agency is kind of a win-win, if you will, when it was all said and done.
Okay, and if you could just kind of explain to us what the difference between a causeway and a bridge is. I know you're
Sure.
talking about filling in
Yep.
some wetlands, and what makes the difference between
A
those?
causeway is just basically, earth or fill or embankment that's placed in the body of water, and then the bridge is just what we think is a bridge that allows passage underneath of boats and snowmobiles or whatever goes underneath. So it's a
Okay.
combination of that dirt fill and then the bridges. So there's really out there's 6 bridges. There's 3 sets of 2 for the 6, and then causeway we filled in the lake. So there's a lot of fill that went into the lake to build the causeway.
Excellent. And then you mentioned the fishing area. Can you describe that a little bit more? Are there going to be docks, or is it more like a rocky area that people can fish off of?
Sure. The main 12-foot wide multimodal trail is paved with asphalt, and then off of that, there's basically what I call a crushed screenings, crushed limestone that's very hard. You can walk on it, and that's generally about 6 feet wide. It's a little wider in places. That takes off that and then walk and gradually goes down to the main spans or the main channel where all the boats go through, and then people can fish from that. And then there's a hard rock riprap between the lake and that fishing path that people can basically set up and fish, and they can go completely underneath the main span on the south channel side, and then actually goes to the west side. We do have some fencing, chain link fencing that really tries to prevent limited access beyond that, so people get there and may not think this is the best spot to fish. The spot over there where I can't go is better, but we're trying to restrict access. We don't want people walking in there, obviously for safety and security reasons. So there is going to be lights along that fishing path. So there's LED lighting along it. The causeway itself, as people travel it now, has lighting across it, so it's pretty well lit at night. So I think it's going to be very highly used, especially in the springtime of the year when the fish migration happens from up out of Lake Winnebago. I'm sure it's going to be a prized spot to be used.
Yeah, and I know people around here are always looking for a new fishing
Yeah.
spot, so I think it'll be a high traffic area, especially right in the beginning when it opens up.
Yeah.
Speaking of opening, we were talking before the interview about how it's still closed. Why is the trail still closed right now?
Right now it's still closed. We have basically 8-foot chain link fence across the trail, right on the south shore by the golf course, and on the north side up by Eklund Marine, and really try to keep people out. And it's because we have railings along the multimodal trail that need to go in to prevent bikers from falling down the slope. The slope from the trail down to those fishing access paths are rather steep. They're rather high, 15 to 20 feet. So if some biker actually went off the path, you would end up going down a fairly steep slope with some injuries. So there's some liability issues to the department that we just can't open it up until those railings are in. So those are being manufactured in the process, and we're hoping to have those open end of September and ready for our opening here in October.
Okay, and is there anything else besides that as far as work goes that remains to be completed?
As part of the trail, people are going to see there's kiosks going in. As part of all this, we coordinated with the 11 federally recognized Native American tribes in Wisconsin and gave them a chance and an opportunity to tell their story. So you're going to see 11 kiosks along the trail, sort of outlooks, if you will, and on them there's going to be aluminum plaques that they had the opportunity to tell a little bit of their history, some of their heritage to users of the trail. And then there's also going to be one kiosk that's a combination of City of Oshkosh, Lake Butte-des-Morts, archaeological history. We coordinated with Brad Larson from Oshkosh Museum Director, the DNR, and then some professors at UW Oshkosh to tell that story. So that's a little bit bigger kiosk. That one's much larger in size, but has more of a story to tell. So, but that's on sort of the north shore, sort of by Eklund Marine. And I don't know how many people know the history of Lake Butte-des-Morts with how it was before the dams went in the 1850s and how the size has changed because of that. A little of that history, then the industry that came to Oshkosh that was in there as part of Oshkosh's history is told in there. So it's kind of a history lesson when you walk across the trail for not only Oshkosh, but then the Native Americans that are here in Wisconsin.
That's a really cool idea, not only just a straight shot, to get across the water, but you can kind of take a look around and get a little bit of history, too, in it.
Yeah, and that's why I think this is going to be so nicely used, because I imagine, schools can use that.
Oh, yeah.
For spring field trips as education is fourth graders get into Wisconsin history. If they get into that, here's part of it, and then a chance to enjoy the outdoors.
Excellent. And I know you just mentioned the opening. So when exactly is the trail opening, and what kind of events do you have planned? Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that, Mark.
Yeah, the big public opening and ceremony is going to be October 12th at 11 o'clock. And kind of like Tom was saying, it's such a celebration of so many different groups, whether it's Native Americans or DNR, Oshkosh, the people here, the people on one side of the bridge or the other. We really wanted to make an event where the public could come and not only just walk across the trail for the first time, but walk across the trail, ask questions about certain things, whether they're the kiosks, whether they're the fishing docks, whether it's how far across the trail, or whether it's just certain questions that an engineer like Tom would know about building a bridge as big as the one in Lake Butamore and as incredible as it turned out. Some of the engineering science behind it is worth coming out and talking to the guys who built it. I mean, every time I go there, I'm in awe of it. So when we were deciding this, we said, well, we don't just want a ribbon cutting where you get one or two people or three or four and come out and cut the ribbon and everybody goes home. So what we decided to do is have a joining ceremony of the two trails. The trail that's the one the DNR has that's going to join the trail under the bridge. So that's why they call it the Tribal Heritage Crossing at the Wewash Trail.
Right.
So we're joining those two trails, and what Tom had made actually is kind of a special commemorative brick that's actually going to go in the pavement right where the two trails come together.
Okay.
And so at 11:30 we're going to have a special ceremony with we're hoping some very big name politicians in town and some key people that built this, and they're going to unveil it right at 11:30. So, but then comes the fun part with all the public. We're thinking the ceremony to open is going to last probably a half an hour.
Okay.
And then at about 11:30, we're going to have a fun run, a 5K fun run, non-competitive. So don't go out there and think you're going to win ribbons or medals or anything.
Right.
'Cause it's just going to be for people to go out there and run and have fun.
Okay. And I know you said you had some people that actually made this project possible that you wanted to mention. We've got about a minute left, so if you want to maybe go over that really quickly. Too.
Yeah, this can be done without the Winnebago County Health Department, which is obviously called Rethink Wisconsin, and the Winnebago County Parks and Rec Department, Encore events. And then we got some dog walk people called the Friends of Winnebago County Dog Parks that are helping us when we cross the first dogs.
Yes, and I know you said the fun run and dog walk. So.
And dog walk, yeah,
So
and we're having
there.
some bicycle events there too, and we'll
Okay.
also have some historians on site to talk about the history of it, and the DNR there to talk about fishing, and we'll have a huge fish tank by the DNR too.
Excellent. All right, so if one more time you'd just like to recap the event itself, date, time, and how long it'll go.
October 12th at 11 o'clock is the ceremony. At 11:30 is the public open house.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Mark and Tom. I really appreciate you coming in and telling us about this really exciting event, once-in-a-lifetime thing that you could maybe go and experience. Next up, let's take a look at the experience that I had stepping into the shoes of a community service officer here in Oshkosh. Check it out. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another segment of In Your Shoes, where I get to go into the shoes of a city employee. Today, I'm here with Lucas Meyer and Dylan Greer-Welch, and they're going to show me how to be a CSO, a community service officer, for today. We started out with putting up a few no parking signs for the Saturday farmers market that next day.
Right? Yep.
Okay.
And then just get your bottom one. Then just make sure they're tight enough so they don't slide down or anything during the night. Yep. That's it. That's pretty good.
All right.
And then just go on to the next one.
Oh, I'm getting good at this now. There you go. After 15 of them, I think I'd become a pro.
Yeah.
That was easy enough.
Yep.
Then I got to do some heavy lifting. These barricades were also used for the farmers market, and they were a little more difficult to put together than I thought. Oh my gosh. Whoop.
Did you go too far now?
You guys make it look too easy.
You didn't go far enough. Then you just flip it. You're in.
Okay.
They get used to it after a while.
There you go.
Yes. All right.
Just like a jigsaw puzzle.
It's beautiful. With some help, I put together one other barricade, a type 3, for the market. All these barricades get set up every Saturday morning at 4 a.m.
Yep.
All right. Sounds
That's
good.
how the Type 3s work.
It's not so bad. I like these better than the other ones.
There you
After
go.
donning a traffic safety vest, and just when I thought I was done with the heavy lifting, CSO officers Grier, Welch, and Meyer had me
There you
put
go.
out a yield to pedestrians sign, which for me was not exactly a graceful process.
Like that? Oh, okay. Right here?
We usually put it
We
on-
usually put it just back past it because otherwise the pedestrians have to walk around it, making it a safety hazard then. We put them out for special events, pull them out for problem areas. That's basically the only time we ever use the pedestrian crosswalk sign.
Then it was time to put up some more no parking signs.
Where do I put it?
Basically, I just kind of put them at a kind of slight angle like that, pound them in.
Oh, it felt like it was going in.
It took me about 5 minutes to pound just one of them into the hard, dry ground.
Okay.
CSO officers put upwards of
hit myself.
50 of these signs up at one time.
Keep going.
That's it, keep going. There you go. That's it, you're good now.
All right.
So yeah.
I think I'd get a little tired after like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Probably max out around 5.
Yeah.
Thanks again for joining me on another segment of In Your Shoes. I can now say that I have a huge appreciation for what the CSOs do. I'd like to thank Luke and Dylan again for letting me follow them around for a little while, and we'll see you next time on another segment of In Your Shoes.
Hi, I'm City Manager Mark Roloff, and I have an important message for Time Warner Cable viewers of Oshkosh Community Media Services. For over 25 years, Oshkosh Community Media has kept Oshkosh residents informed, educated, and engaged with the Oshkosh community and local government. For this reason, we feel it is important that viewers know that on September 11th, Time Warner Cable will be converting CATV2 and City Cable 10 to digital. So what does this mean for CATV2 and City Cable 10 viewers after September 11th? If you have an older TV, CATV2 and City Cable 10 will disappear. To continue receiving our channels, you will need to contact Time Warner Cable for a digital adapter. If you have a digital cable box, nothing will change and the channels will remain on 2 and 10. If you have a newer flat screen TV, you can do a channel scan to restore our channels. For details on Time Warner Cable's digital conversion, we encourage you to visit our website, OshkoshCommunityMedia.org, and click on the Frequently Asked Questions guide.
Thanks again for joining us on Your City at Work. Again, my name is Emily Mikowski, and now we're joined by Michael MacArthur. I know we were having a big conversation about this before the interview, but MacArthur from the Oshkosh Public Library, and you're here to talk about some new sessions that are going to be offered there, actually that have gotten started already, but are just starting to get hit the ground running here. Can you tell me a little bit about the computer sessions?
Yes, so we're starting basically 2 tracks of these sessions that are going to be done on every other Monday starting in September, on September 9th. Okay. The first is a computer basics sessions where there are 8 sessions for beginning computer users. It starts with basic computers. The first class is literally, this is how you turn on a computer. The goal is to really reach people who are, again, not digital natives, are people who didn't grow up with computers and, for one reason or another haven't had access to or just have never felt comfortable using them.
Okay.
So it's going to lead them through, and we're going to have those 8 classes, and those are going to be started. We're also doing a separate track, which is going to be going on in the afternoons, called Tips and Trips for Job Seekers. These are similar to computer basics, except much more focused and geared towards job seekers. So people who haven't had to look for a job in a few years, who are suddenly find themselves re-entering the workforce or looking for new employment. In the last 10 years, obviously, the game has changed quite a bit when it comes to job hunting. And so if you're not comfortable working with computers to search for jobs online or filling out applications online, communicating with employers through email and such, then this is hopefully going to be an introduction to that and how to do that effectively.
Okay. And I know we kind of just breezed over them a little bit, but can we dig a little bit deeper into what exactly is going to be going on in these classes? So first, for the computer basics, I know the very most basic class is how to turn on the computer and the really basic things. I also see different things like introduction to email, browser, website basics. How exactly do you go through these sessions and teach these people how to use all this stuff?
So the sessions are basically were created from a standpoint that if you had never used anything before, where would you want to start? So the first 2 sessions are basically just getting going, comfortable using the mouse, comfortable turning on opening programs, closing programs, things like that. And we thought about what people actually would want to use on a day-to-day basis. So obviously email to get in touch with, again, friends, family, and the tips and trips for job seekers, contacting employers. So the email is really going to be, about how etiquette, email safety, again, how to avoid opening spam and getting, phishing scams and things like that.
And I feel like email is really the cornerstone for most of any kind of internet web searching, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of the most powerful tools that the internet has to give you, being that it's this communication tool. It's instant, and it's for the most part free, and very powerful to use. But again, if you're not familiar with it, then you're completely cut out of this this wonderful powerful technology.
So are you setting up actual email accounts with people, or are they coming with current email accounts that they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help?
I am going to be kind of playing it by ear. As you mentioned before, I've done a couple of these classes. They kind of got started as sort of a dry run with very little publicity to kind of test them out and gauge interest in how the classes are going to go. I've had a couple of people show up who've had to have help signing up, and you find the best email provider for them. Others have already signed up and just want to know some more tricks and what else it can do for them. So things like sorting through your email, sorting out spam and things like that.
Okay. I saw also on the list introducing Facebook. That sounds like a really cool session. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. When again thinking about technologies and things on the internet that are kind of the cornerstone of what's going on, obviously social media is something amazing and powerful, and it's almost synonymous with Facebook. And so we're kind of like, that is kind of an integral technology to at least be introduced to.
Definitely.
Again, we're not going to say you have to put your entire life online, but we're going to give an introduction about how this works, things like privacy and kind of what it can do and what it can't do, because it really is a fantastic tool to stay in touch with people.
Right, and even for like a business owner that suddenly decides they want to have a Facebook page for their business, it'd be a good idea for them too.
Absolutely. If you're not doing something, networking in with social media, then you really aren't conducting your business in the 21st century, unfortunately. I mean, that's what it is. So
it's very true.
So it's not only personal, but it's, again, however you want to use it. We're going to show how you could use it for what you would like to.
Okay, and then also moving on into the job seekers tips and tricks. As far as online searching, what kind of is included in that session?
The online searching, again, is conducted in both sessions, and the tips and tricks for job seekers, it's specifically searching online for jobs.
Okay.
So it's pointing them towards powerful search engines like Monster or Indeed.com that narrow their search to employment. It's also about how to kind of sift through, and a couple of easy Google tips that can narrow down your search a lot better than before. Since everyone generally starts, and it's like you don't want to just type in find me a job in Oshkosh. It's not the most effective way to search that. But there's a couple of things you can do that can make your search much more effective, and so we're going to cover how to do those.
Okay, and then even the creating a resume thing, you can help people build their resumes too?
Absolutely. Again, the Word, in fact, the most recent class I just did was introducing Word 2010 specifically for formatting resumes.
Okay.
So in the tips and trips for job seekers, we gear it towards formatting resumes, kind of go over some standard issues in how you set up a resume. Also introduce a program that the library has purchased called Winway, which is a resume writing software.
Oh, okay.
Which is free and available in the library. To anyone with a library card, you can come in and use it and get started on a resume, especially if you haven't had to write one in a while.
Right.
It's a very helpful tool.
Yeah. Well, both of these groups of sessions sound like they're so useful. So can you tell me where exactly the sessions are and when they're going to start taking place?
Yes.
Okay.
They're taking place in the Oshkosh Public Library in our Technology Learning Lab, which is on the lower level. If anyone's been in there, it's on the same floor as the children's section. Yeah, it's just down the hallway. The classes are limited to four per class, which we've done very intentionally to make it a very kind of intimate, non-threatening, easygoing learning experience.
And I think for a lot of those things, it's better if you have a little bit of one-on-one time to really, look over their shoulder and help them out too. So it's a good idea.
Absolutely. And again, we'd love to do one-on-one, and we certainly have been in the past doing those
Right.
one-on-one sessions. But we'd like to open up a little more, so we get a little more people at a time. But at 4 people, I can still answer personal,
Yeah.
questions for people who have specific issues with the technology, and it really gives you a very personalized and learning environment.
Okay. Do these sessions cost anything?
No, they're free. You
Really?
just have to call the library and
Okay.
sign up. You would call and contact the reference desk, or come in and sign up at the reference desk on the 2nd floor.
Okay, so just call the reference desk or even just go right in to sign
Or you
up.
can come right in and they'll sign you up. Yeah.
Great. And then you've mentioned that there have been a few of these sessions already. Can you elaborate a little bit to me on how they've been going and what you've learned to tweak the different things since you've started it?
It's actually been really exciting. When we started these, again, it was done very quickly, and I was like, I'm a little worried. Are they really good people going to come? But as I've been working in the library, I've been seeing people make these mistakes. Simple things like filling out applications online and not really submitting their application, and they think they did. And I was like, oh, that's so horrible if you were looking for a job and you thought you had applied for it, but you really didn't. And it's just because you weren't familiar with the process. So I really saw a need for it on a day-to-day basis. And it's been great so far. We've had the classes have been about half full for those, which is 2 people who have dropped in, which is great. And I've learned to, I'm going to say, fine-tune what needs to be taught. I think as someone who grew up with computers, you can't take anything for granted when you're teaching someone who hasn't used them before.
It's very true.
Yeah, so so for those people who showed up for these first classes, I really appreciate them coming in, because they really helped me fine-tune these classes to be very effective, I think, for the first-time user, and have them making very useful.
Almost like a little bit of a guinea pig kind of thing.
A little bit. What they got is, now they've got almost one-on-one. I'm
that's so true.
learning this. I'm learning something different in this situation too, which has been really, really
You guys
great.
are both learning as you go.
Absolutely. I'm learning what they really need
Right.
in these classes, and I think I've figured that out, and I'll be able to do that on
Excellent.
a much wider scale.
Just to take a quick step back, how did the idea for these sessions even come about, and how did you even get started on moving towards that, to getting to where you are right now with these?
The original idea was started with a national program called Everyone On, which is getting everyone online and familiar with technology. Again, kind of one of the library's main goals as an institution, as an evolving institution, is to help bridge kind of what they call the digital divide. That statistics are saying that 1 in 5 don't have access to computers at home, which, if you grew up with them, you might not know that. You might just think everybody has computers, everyone has the internet. It's like, it's not really true, according to census data. So it was really about getting everyone online and help leveling the playing field, that they're not left out of a job because they can't, find access or find these jobs online. They can't communicate or, conduct business, or can't, connect with people they know and love online. So it started with getting them online, and then with the economy being what it is, and the recent layoffs, especially at Oshkosh Truck, we really wanted to do something to take that goal of getting everyone online and help them getting online for the purpose of finding a job.
Great.
Yeah.
And then one more time, if you can just recap for me when the classes are and where exactly they are. I wanted to say price, but I know there's no price, so.
No, they are free. They're starting September 9th. The computer basics classes are going to be from 10 to 11 a.m. And the tips and tricks for job seekers is going to be from 2 to 3 on Mondays, every other Monday. Yeah.
Okay. And then to get a little more detailed information, you can go to OshkoshPublicLibrary.org. And then to sign up, you can either go in or...
You can go in or give us a call.
Okay, and I have the number here too, actually. It's 236-5205. So again, OshkoshPublicLibrary.org, or stop in by the reference desk and sign up for some of these great sessions coming up. So it looks like that's going to conclude this episode of Your City at Work. Thank you so much for coming in today, Michael. You can tune into City Cable 10 for reruns of the latest episodes of Your City at Work, or you can go on OshkoshCommunityMedia.org or YouTube for programming on demand. You can also listen to us on 101.9 WOCT, or like us on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter to get different community updates and programming updates. So thank you again for joining us on Your City at Work, and we'll see you next time.